catch that fool, you will think I'm really cool. All I wanna do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed.
Good morning, hello MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday, April 21st, 2017. Hope everybody in the chat is doing well. So how's everybody doing today? I guess somebody's working on an exam or a paper, it would seem. Good luck with that. Hey, hello Dennis. Hello KDM, Ryan, Peter, Dave, Axel, a fellow Dave in the chat, hello. Well, today I'm going to start off with a feedback question about the spring egg hunt. If anyone else, just general feedback about the spring egg hunt as well. We'll give another little sneak peek at the Bristle Woods Rift. I know we've been talking about that the last few weeks in a row, but we'll give another quick little sneak peek because it's getting closer and closer as the weeks go by. Another little look at Mousu Picchu. We have a concept art of a mouse ready to go, so we'll give a sneak peek at that. And as always, we'll end with trivia, and Larry will have rewards as well. And good morning to you as well in the chat. Good morning, hello. Well, the only feedback question this week has to do about the spring egg hunt, and it's about the infamous Shelder Egg. So we added this as a popular suggestion from players in both the chat on Feedback Friday. We saw on the forums that a lot of hunters were excited about a Shelder Egg. Now the Shelder is probably the most difficult to encounter mouse in the game, and there's not much you can do to boost its attraction rate. So now that you've had a chance to hunt for the Shelder Egg, what are your thoughts? Do you think maybe that wasn't a great idea? Do you enjoy testing the limits of your patience? Do you think we should avoid such purely hard to find eggs? And George is saying to avoid it. I like it because it's not a requirement to get all the eggs, says Ryan. Yeah. Do you feel a compulsion to try and get it because it's so hard to get, or are you the type of hunter who can kind of decide, well, these are the eggs I'm interested in, these are the ones I'm going to go for? And not going to open up the Shelder Egg, I don't blame you. Maybe you can just cherish that in your inventory. The mutated behemoth egg. Well, the thing is with the eclipse egg, or a mutated behemoth egg, or the crystal behemoth egg, there's things you can do to try to prepare yourself for that. Whereas the Shelder is just pure sit there and hope you're lucky. There's not really any strategy other than just hope for the best. A pretty good challenge. I want to be an egg master. Certainly if you want to be an egg master, you'd have to track down the Shelder Egg. The magmatic golem egg may be the only one that comes close to rivaling the Shelder in terms of sheer difficulty and of rarity. The struggle is the same for the assassin mouse. The assassin mouse isn't quite as rare as the Shelder. The Shelder is exceptionally rare. And to understand maybe some of the motivation, so say you were trying for days and you gave up on it, what made you set out on the quest to get the Shelder Egg to begin with? Is it the last egg you need to become an egg master? Were you just interested to see what was inside? Why did you set yourself the goal of, I'm going to get the Shelder Egg? Like that you can get Marshmallow Monterey while hunting for the Shelder Egg. Says David in the chat. Need it for collection. Now, is it the last egg you needed for collection, or is there a reason why you specifically chose to go and collect that egg out of maybe any other eggs that you were missing? It's a Shelder. It had to be done, yeah. Perhaps just the sheer challenge of it. Felt lucky I was wrong, yeah. The point of mouse hunt is to collect everything, certainly collect all the mice, and the egg hunt does have a sort of long-term goal of can you find every single egg. Although it's the type of thing I think you work on as years go by. If you were to start from scratch this year, I don't think it's possible to find all nearly 200 eggs in one shot, but as the years go by, you can certainly keep picking off a few of the tough ones. First egg you went for. It's a brave undertaking. 5 days later, you came out with an egg. A 4-year goal to be an egg master. How close are you, Grant? Are you close to being an egg master? I'm nowhere near close. I think I just prioritize the eggs that have things inside that I want to collect. Or if I'm really not sure where I want to go, I might check, well, where haven't I found an egg, and I'll start to go look for those eggs. Just say no to silhouette, says Michael. Yeah. The egg had good contents, though. Well, keep that hush-hush, because that may have to be something to do with the trivia question, so you can bask in the glory of getting the trivia question right. Maybe 5 days. I have not tried for the Shelder Egg myself. I do not have any Galleon Gouda. I suppose that is the one thing you can do to try to prepare for the Shelder Egg, is you can try to stock up on some Galleon Gouda. Now, that's no small feat to go and find that cheese. It does help a little bit with the Shelder. That said, you can easily blow through 100 pieces of Galleon Gouda and not even encounter the Shelder. So it helps a little bit, but when a mouse is that rare, even doubling its encounter rate is a kind of minuscule boost. Why is the mouse rare, asks John. No particular reason. That's just a really rare mouse on the ship. It's an old and slow turtle. I guess it's just hiding deep underwater, really hard to get. "7 days, no Shelder." Well, I wonder, I think it's about, let's see here, if you say you're doing about 40 hunts a day. Yeah, that's actually 7 days no Shelder is not to be unexpected. It would take usually about 2 weeks before you even see one. So it's definitely a very difficult to encounter mouse, and there's not really much you can do to help yourself with it. Anyone got a leprechaun egg yet? There is no leprechaun egg. I think that would certainly even outdo the Shelder in terms of sheer difficulty to acquire. 1% chance with Galleon Gouda, says Sean. I think it's under 1% chance. Maybe a 0.5%. That might be 200 or so hunts before you're going to see one. Well, I shouldn't say going to see one, before you can consider yourself starting to go on the wrong side of luck, basically. When something's that rare, like let's say it's a 1 in 500 chance of happening, then it is certainly not uncommon for someone to go 1,000 tries with never even accomplishing it, because it's such a small chance that the deviation set gets very, very wide on it. Someone's going to get it on the first hunt, and they are just the luckiest person ever, and someone's going to go 2,000 hunts with never seeing that mouse is certainly not a minuscule probability of going that long without seeing it. 2 weeks at what amount of hunts per day? About 40. I think right now people on the ship are doing about 33 hunts a day. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. On the Huntington, over the past 7-day average, people have done 31.3 hunts per day on the ship. Compared with, say, Fort Rocks, people do 33.8 hunts per day over the last 7 days. That's hunts per day, obviously, not the last 7 days total. What's the number one? Let's see what the number one is. Environments. Sort by hunts. Toxic spill is currently at the, oh, that's for today. Let's check yesterday, maybe. Yesterday, toxic spill, people did 35.7 hunts on average yesterday. The Labyrinth is in second place with 34.4. That's like so little. Yep, certainly. And I think the players that join us on Feedback Friday certainly hunt a whole lot. Whereas there's certainly a big group of hunters as well that hunt a little less. They might do 30 to 40. We certainly see the higher level areas tend to have hunters doing more hunts per day. As you go kind of down in the ranks, the lower level areas have a few less hunts going on per day, but that's maybe not a direct correlation, because certainly there are high level hunters doing treasure maps coming through. Does that include trap checks? Yes, it does. So people sounding their horn maybe about 10 times per day, and then getting the 24 trap checks. Well, which brings us to the Bristle Woods Rift. So like I said, we've been chatting about this quite a bit. I think the past few Feedback Fridays, we've been giving a little sneak peek at the Bristle Woods Rift. And there's not too much new information to share as far as the Bristle Woods Rift is coming. As we've mentioned in the past, it's going to be a Grand Duke, Grand Duchess area, a new Rift location. It's a permanent area. It's not an event. We're doing some internal playtesting still. And we're still trying to find the right gameplay and balance. So far the area kind of has a similar feel to maybe the Sunken City or the Labyrinth. You're exploring areas, move on to other areas in search of some sort of long-term goal. The Bristle Woods Rift, it takes place in a Rift version of the Acolyte Tower. And the tower consists of many different chambers and rooms. And you're hunting inside a chamber or room, and each room will have its own sort of unique mouse population. You might be switching your cheese when you go into a different room. If you go somewhere in Ancient, it's going to work really well. And then you're hunting maybe like the whites and the chrono mouse, so you need a runic-themed kind of Rift cheese. You're kind of going to the different chambers to stock up on these different types of cheese. So you're going to one chamber and you're using your brie string so that you can get ancient string, bring it to another chamber to collect some runic potions to brew up some runic string cheese, and then finally find the Acolyte chamber and hunt the Acolyte for the final encounter. Yay for similar to Sunken City and Labyrinth. Yeah, I mean, again, not... it kind of has some little similar feels every now and then, in that you're exploring something, and it kind of changes the more, as you hunt through it, it changes and you progress through it, and you find yourself encountering different types of mice, maybe switching your setup just a little slightly here and there. That said, much like the Labyrinth, there's a nice pause in between moving to the next step. So unlike the Sunken City, where you're moving forward and the mice are changing and you have to keep coming back and checking to make sure, like, oh, maybe I want to use a jet charm to skip this, or I want to anchor down because I'm in a good spot. It's more like the Labyrinth, where you're going to clear this room and then you get to decide when you leave and move to the next room, and that's an opportunity to make sure you're there. You can switch up your setup a little bit. Maybe you want to use runic cheese instead of brie string cheese or something like that. Could you potentially enter the Acolyte room the moment you step in the area? At the moment, no. There's another sort of little progression mechanic. You're going to have to collect enough resource before that chamber will even appear in the tower. Right now, we kind of have a lot of time theme going on. The Chrono Mouse drops a very special hourglass, and then you have to fill the hourglass with sand. And the more sand you put in the hourglass, the more time you get in the Acolyte chamber. And so you're kind of balancing, do I have enough sand yet, or do I want to really overdo it on the sand and then go in and have more than enough time, or do I want to try to go in as soon as I can and hope I get lucky? And you don't keep the sand after you capture the Acolyte mouse, so it's kind of that's the choice, is how much sand is enough before I go and take on the Acolyte. Will there be a new trap? We don't quite have those sort of details yet. Last week on Feedback Friday, I asked about what type of rewards hunters would like to see for the area, and had a plethora of different responses. Certainly one suggestion was a new trap. There was some positive feedback about equipment that helps you in specific areas. I think I asked about last week as well, which was surprising, because personally I like to use my generic equipment everywhere. I tend not to like the areas where it's like, well, I'll use this trap, this trap, this trap. It feels like I'm not making as much of a choice as there's just an ideal sort of setup, or my accomplishments in previous areas aren't really helping me in new areas. Every area I'm starting from scratch again. But there was certainly some positive feedback for Rift-specific bases and stuff. Are any Bristle Woods Rift materials like runes going to be useful in the Rift version? No, not at the moment. That's certainly a popular suggestion we get, is to have older items have kind of a use in some higher level areas. And we're working on a few ideas that are going to encompass that. A little too soon to share, but maybe in that first Archduke area there might be a good opportunity to repurpose a whole lot of cheese that you may have in your inventory, or extra crafting items, things like that. When is Ronza? A couple people asking. I have no idea. Billy there mentions, I miss discovering how the area works. See, that's interesting. We try to give enough detail so that you have everything you need to know how to play, and then you can figure out the best way to play it. It'd be similar to sitting down to a card game you've never played before and nobody explaining the rules and just hoping you figure it out, versus, okay, here's the rules, but we're not really going to talk about strategy per se. It's the first time you sit down with 3 other people to play euchre and you just have no idea what's going on. But there's certainly some subtle strategies in euchre that I think you would pick up the more you play it. I think too, maybe to read between the lines a little bit about discovering little hidden elements and things like that. Maybe a loot drop that wasn't really explained, but all of a sudden you find it like, oh, what is this? And it kind of leads you down a trail. I think maybe that's some of the sentiment of figuring out how an area works is more about liking the mystery of discovering the unknown a little bit. And as long as once you discover that unknown thing, it's apparent what you're supposed to do next from there. Is traveling to the new rift the same as going to any other rift? Yeah, it won't be like the Acolyte Realm where there is a Forbidden Grove or anything you have to go through. You'll be able to travel straight there. We need new crowns. We are far away from 500, the gold one. One day we'll do a platinum crown. Just haven't been able to prioritize that really. Can we try having the adventure 2 weeks to 1 month after they are released? Well, again, the challenge is we tend not to think about things in terms of days and months, but in number of hunts, because kind of as we hinted at the beginning of the chapter, or we spoke about at the beginning of Feedback Friday, is some hunters are doing 35 hunts a day, and other hunters are doing 100 plus a day. So we kind of think, well, how many hunts is it going to take to go through it? And then, in terms of time, we kind of think, well, somebody who's doing 40 hunts per day, how long is that going to take them if it takes this many hunts? Some simple division comes out. Miss having to find out the recipe for traps that come out. It's interesting because I think it's about discovery, little side things that aren't critical. It's kind of neat to tinker around, and it's a neat little thing that happens in the community. You see everyone trying to figure something out. But then at the same time, somebody new coming into the area, maybe the area is old news and they're just kind of playing along, they don't really know about the wiki, and there's nothing in the game to tell them how to do something that they need to do, or like the rules of how something works. So we kind of strive for a balance there where there's still things to discover and strategies to unlock and kind of discuss with other hunters, but all the sort of essential stuff you need to know, the rules of the game. Like I said, if you're playing poker, you need to know what hand is better than which other hand, and sort of how many cards I get in my hand, that sort of thing. That's the type of information we don't like to keep mysterious that you have to discover on your own. That's the type of information we like to make very obvious and upfront. "40 hunts is a good average." Yeah, a lot of the times we think in terms of about 50 or 60 as we kind of take, if we do want to think about how many days something is going to take. We tend to take 60 as a sort of high water mark of the hunters that hunt a lot. That's going to be a little bit less for them, and the hunters who hunt less, that's going to kind of take them a little bit longer, but without taking an incredibly long time. So it's kind of the middle ground we aim for. Yeah, perhaps do it like the deep freeze base, have everyone try to figure out, and once it's crafted, change the description. I think it's a balance to come down to as well, because as much as some hunters really like that facet of it, I think other hunters find it really frustrating when they want to unlock a certain thing and there's just no other way to go about it than to spend weeks at the crafting table just trying every possible combination and maintaining a spreadsheet. That's not everyone's cup of tea either, so we try to find a right balance where there's a little something for everyone. But when you're trying to craft a new trap, you don't have to open up a spreadsheet and spend a week just through trial and error and trying every possible combination. Some people really like that because it's the chase of being the first person to figure out a really complicated problem. But other people just find it tedious and not particularly fun to be playing the game and sit down and just start doing math and spreadsheets and stuff. Yeah, pretty tedious. But again, if we can find the right item or the right opportunity to do it, it's something we like to do. And the bigger the area, certainly the more opportunities there are to add little hidden Easter eggs, little hidden items to explore and find that aren't critical to the gameplay. So we'll move on to Mousu Picchu here, which we hinted at for the first time. Or I don't know why I say hint at, we spoke about it last week. This is planned to be another Grand Duke, Grand Duchess area. It's going to follow the labyrinth, so it'll probably require one of each of the district leader loot in or from the labyrinth to maybe craft or purchase a map piece, something like that, or some little hook inside of the labyrinth to then unlock Mousu Picchu. Again, it's really early to kind of go into any detail about exactly how it would be unlocked, but that's kind of the rough plan. We want to follow the labyrinth, and it's going to serve as, because the labyrinth is Duke Duchess, Mousu Picchu is going to be a Grand Duke, Grand Duchess, and we want that to lead into the first Archduke, Archduchess area in the game. So we kind of needed something to bridge the gap so that the labyrinth could then lead into the Archduke, Archduchess area. We needed an area in between. From a theming point of view as well, Mousu Picchu is kind of a very mountainous jungle area, kind of peaks shooting up into the clouds, and because at least at the moment, we want the Archduke, Archduchess area to be themed sort of high above the skies of Narnia. And so this will kind of, you'll be climbing up this mountain to get way up into the sky, and that's going to kind of unlock the ability for hunters to start exploring the clouds. So the theming of it, a lot of kind of mountains. This particular mouse here, Lauren drew, I think it's an early version of the mouse. She's doing kind of some concepting of it. It has a wind theme to it. And I spoke last week that hunters will control the rain and the wind at Mousu Picchu to create storms and summon powerful dragon mice. So there'll be some wind-themed ones, some rain-themed ones, and then some draconic-themed mice. And this is one of the concepts for one of the wind-themed ones, hence all the chimes and the totally awesome hat with wind chimes hanging off. Looks very practical, I'd say. Which trap types? It'll involve Shadow, Arcane, and Draconic. And it'll lead into the Archduke, Archduchess area, as long as everything goes according to plan. And that will certainly involve Draconic, along with pretty much every other power type in the game. It's going to be a big, sprawling area to explore. Screen chat has frozen. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't have good luck with the chat in this program, it would seem. We'll try re-adding it, see what happens. I can't even click it. Oh, there we go. Chat. Let's add a small chat, sure. Still frozen. C'est la vie. Wind power traps was a comment in the chat there. No plans to add under the power type, at least not for this area at the moment. Elemental dragons. Haven't done any concepting of the type of draconic mice, but we'll see. It'll probably be very sort of energized and stormy looking, I would think. But I'll leave it to Jacob and Lauren kind of explore a lot of the visual themes. It's kind of nice to do some of the concepting, get a few characters sort of fleshed out before you even really dig into a lot of the gameplay, because often looking at images like this character gets the imagination going of how the area could even work gameplay-wise. Xavier asks, how do developers generally go about releasing newer and stronger powered traps? Sorry, first time here. Well, welcome if it's your first time here. Just as we do larger areas, the mice get stronger, the traps get stronger, and the amount of reward you can earn there also gets a little bit stronger. We also kind of think about, during each area, what if you had a 100% catch rate there, and we kind of see, well, what's the maximum amount of rewards, and we sort of take that into account when we're doing an area for the first time, that to sort of future-proof it. Well, if you could get 100% attraction or catch rate, what would it be like? And that sort of future-proofs it against the sort of infamous term of power creep, I guess, is what kind of keeps that power creep in check, where even if you come back with a really powerful thing, there's only so good you can do in that area. And it won't be particularly rewarding. So imagine you're playing an RPG, and you start out and you're fighting these crummy little goblins and you're just struggling against them. And then you level up to level 200 and you have the plus 100 sword of awesomeness, and you go back and you take on those goblin mobs. And sure, you're mopping the floor with them, but they're dropping just whatever. I'm getting like feathers and dust and like 2 gold. I'm not going to waste my time doing this. So we kind of try to make appropriate challenges for appropriate levels. Do we get to ride a dragon in the sky is a question from the chat. I haven't considered that. That sounds kind of neat. It's a very symbiotic relationship with those dragon mice, rather than hunting them. I have some questions about the storyline of Mousu Picchu. I haven't really explored it too much. We've been doing a lot of theming. Some gameplay as well. Even the name is kind of a placeholder as well. I don't know, we kind of just started calling it Mousu Picchu, but that's kind of a working title, something to call it. I don't know if it'll get or end up being named that. Oh, there you go, Ryan. Right in the description of Zolkor says, built upon the ancient ruins of Mousu Picchu. Well, perhaps we were already planning ahead then. That might lock in the name then, if that is already in there. I don't know if I came across that particular description. Eileen thinks a lot of the ideas come from late night at a nearby bar. Occasionally. Certainly helps with volume of ideas. Any titles in mind after Archduke? Some rough ideas, and we'll see too. That'll probably be a topic of feedback as the Archduke Archduchess area gets closer. One thing we were considering is lowering the amount, or lowering the threshold at which you would level up out of Archduke Archduchess. Right now it's a bit of a level cap per se, where it's extremely slow once you hit that title. Once we have an area, we might lower the bar a little bit. So when that area came out, some hunters would probably level up when the area came out because the requirement to level up would be lower. I said they won't lose any progress because they'll just launch themselves into the next title. Emperor. Emperor would be above, well, Emperor would be above King, I guess. I don't think we can have an Emperor unless you find your own plot of land somewhere outside of the King's jurisdiction. Overlord. Sounds a little overbearing, a little too, has a bit of a negative connotation, kind of like a dictator versus a different type of leader. Has a little bit of a controlling tone to it. Yeah, prince, princess, we'll see. Top advisor. Royal duck. I like that. I like that suggestion of royal duck from KDM. Is my chat frozen on this slide too? Well, it's a bad day for the chat being frozen. All right, well, bring us to the trivia question that we end off with here. And I guess if the chat's not going to work, I can slide myself down here. Woo! What's inside the Shelder Egg? So the infamous Shelder Egg we spoke about at the beginning of the stream. If you have been fortunate, just downright lucky enough to find one, or if you can Google it as fast as you can, or I think Ryan knew ahead of time, yes, 15 Galleon Gouda is the correct answer. 15 Galleon Gouda inside of the Shelder Egg. Crushed hopes and dreams, says Eugene in the chat. They might find, every once in a while, one of those eggs, you'll find a few of them. The Shelder was just laughing from below the water. Tears, Michelle, yeah. It's the Rodentia ocean. Maybe the water level went up just a little bit. It's not global warming. It's the tears of hunters who are trying to find the Shelder Egg. Earls, another suggestion for a title. Has a very Scandinavian flair to it, Earls. King Sage, yeah, some interesting suggestions for what could come after Archduke. Well, you're welcome. Julia says she was low on charge eggs, so thank you. You're welcome. Well, thank Larry, I should say. We'll pass on the thanks to Larry's amazing prizes. He never seems to run out of stuff. He just must be all the gold that he just sits on constantly that he never spends. Earls are below dukes. I think you are correct, depending on which timeline you would go. I think I think Prince would probably be the next, if there's a real world connection. Prince, Princess, but maybe Prince Elector after that if we're going Holy Roman Empire. But we'll see. It might start to get into the more fantastical, magical things. You're leaving this realm altogether. Court Jester, yeah, just right at the top, bossing everyone around. Was the date of any new releases mentioned, asks Derek. Didn't mention anything. We're maybe aiming for May for Bristle Woods Rift. That said, this week we've been doing a lot of internal playtesting. We're still kind of ironing out a lot of the kinks. We're changing the way some of the gameplay works. We're still trying to find just the right fit for things. So that's kind of a rough goal we have. And we certainly try to meet goals, but if it's not ready, it's not ready, and we're not going to release something we're not happy with. So, if it does get delayed, then we think about, well, maybe we can do a mini event or something if hunters are looking for something new to come out while we continue to refine the next sort of permanent area. That said, by the end of the day, I'm thinking a lot of the heads-up display is going to start to come together a little bit. There might be a couple little gaps where we're still deciding on how some things may work. But I feel mildly optimistic that we can make it happen in May. Grain of salt, though. Take a grain of salt from the Rodentia Ocean and take that release date with a big grain of salt. Can we have a little longer to get the eggs, please? Well, we'll see. We've announced the end of the spring egg hunt, and it is May. I don't know, so I'm not going to give misinformation, but I believe it's early in May. And it's 3 weeks from when it started. But we'll see if we extend it as we get closer to the end. Labyrinth event, Kate is suggesting. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done the puzzle box. That's an option. 17 runs of the warpath and 1 bead, and it is pretty rare loot. Every time you go through the warpath, though, you'll earn some gold, and you can browse the marketplace as well. And so every run you complete technically gets you a little closer to being able to get a drop if you buy one off the market. New rank noble. Well, I would think anything into count would be nobility. I would think, depending on what timeline we're in, but. Who knows what timeline and what the rules apply to Narnia? It's certainly not the real world. They're not really following any rules or historical precedents. I like how Dennis pointed out. So you're saying the end may be on the 2nd? Well, we're planning to close down. I think it is the 2nd, but. Yeah, maybe Dennis just confirmed that is the ticker. I suppose I could check. It's in the ticker. So if you do forget later, it's floating around the news ticker. There you go. Very first entry in the ticker. The spring egg hunt will end on Tuesday, May 2. Will the fiery warpath projector be coming out this year? That's an interesting feedback question for hunters. Did you like the sort of the mechanics and how the Fort Rock's portal projector worked? Would you like to see us add portal projectors to other areas in the game to find little hidden, extra challenging mice and one more sort of tier of reward to unlock there? Yes, no, lol, please don't. Well, for the warpath specifically, I think that would be an opportunity to add um, another chance of getting sandblasted metal or something like that. That could be the next tier. You find the super secret hidden warmonger mouse or whatever it is, and it'll probably have a drop table similar to the warmonger but buffed up a little bit. So as you're doing warpath runs, if you do maps at the same time, every once in a while you get a portal projector, and now you get another shot at that loot as well. Make them a little more common. I don't know. I think they're in a pretty good spot, those portal projectors, where they're rare enough that when you get one, you feel like, whoa, I just got something really valuable. But they're not so rare that they're an astronomical amount of gold to purchase on the marketplace. So I think they're in a pretty good spot where if you're not interested in hunting the mouse, you're still excited to find projector parts because you can sell them to other hunters who are going to do other stuff to earn gold, and then they're going to buy their projectors from you. So I think they're in a good spot. So they're not worthless on the marketplace, and different hunters with different goals find them kind of interesting because they're valuable. As long as it's not from maps, that's interesting. We were planning if we were going to continue doing portal projectors, it would kind of be a thing you do by doing treasure maps. It would be kind of coupled together. Sunken City event, please. Suggest Nigel in the chat. We'll see. As the end of the spring egg hunt comes to a close, we might start thinking about a mini event for May. If the Bristle Woods Rift doesn't look like it's ready to come out in May, I'm sure we'll want to do a little something new. So maybe we can do a mini event of some sort. David, ooh, my chat's getting covered up here. David says, I liked it, but didn't like that both components were available on the marketplace. Kind of felt like it was a play-to-win mechanic. Well, you certainly still need to obtain Dawn Dust on your own to be able to hunt the monster, or not the monster, the meteor, the heart of the meteor mouse. A lot of meteor stuff going on. So you still need to kind of go through the area. You can't get absolutely everything you need on the market. And it does. I think it appeals to different types of hunters, where some hunters really like just selling things on the marketplace, earning gold, and then using that gold to do other things. And it kind of increases the autonomy a little bit. That said, not everything should work that way, because there's other hunters who kind of want to collect and explore everything that they possibly can. So it's important that there are other goals that you kind of go through yourself, so that they're prestigious trophies. And when somebody sees that you've done that thing, they know, cool, that means they did this, 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 and this. Wow. Maps are fine for portal projectors. Treasure maps are awesome. They certainly are a very popular feature. We see a lot of hunters doing treasure maps for sure. Season 5 updates. No plans to announce yet as far as Relic Hunter Season 5 goes. I wish the chat was working on the stream. See if I can add it again. See what happens. I think it's just frozen in general. Uh-oh. Yep, still just frozen where it was a long time ago. Technology? I don't know. Could we have a follow-up for Zugzwang? Kind of a character's meshed into the storyline here and there, but don't know if we'll see a resurgent in the immediate future. Please fix Zugzwang's tower so he can leave. Says Grant in the chat. That is something we'd like to do. Haven't been able to prioritize that. But kind of the idea, something along the lines of when you go into the tower, your amplifier gets locked. And when you go back to the garden, or you leave the tower, you can come and go as you please, but if you go back to the garden and your amplifier is locked, it says, well, hey, do you want to unlock your amplifier to recharge it? Doing so will drain it in the process, or something like that. So you can come and go from the tower as much as you like. And basically you choose when you want to recharge your amplifier, knowing that it's going to drain your remaining amplifier to do so. So that you can't go into the garden, into the tower. Obviously, it kind of has to work where your amplifier resets if you want to start your tower run over again. Could make it like the Labyrinth in Zolkor. Yeah, that might be interesting, where you have to choose to leave the tower, and until you do, the garden is locked. So there'd be something you have to click on the HUD. Please don't change, Zugswang's Tower, says Billy. Well, we're not really changing anything other than just allowing you to be able to leave the tower without losing your progress, but you wouldn't be able to recharge your amplifier in the middle of a tower run still. Certainly helps with events and things like that. It would change the dynamic of treasure maps, I guess, a little bit, in that you could go and get a few mice for a treasure map, leave the tower, and then if your next map also needs tower mice, you don't need to recharge your amplifier. You can jump back in and get those mice. That said, that doesn't bother me too much, really. It's not like there's a whole lot of maps that just involve the tower in a very dramatic way. Could we please have a more detailed storyline for the characters? We do like to leave things a little open-ended and let people's imagination sort of fill in the gaps. So a little bit of a backstory, if you will, but not all the characters is fully fleshed out what's going on. Even just in general, like, you know, how big are these mice? How big are the traps? A little bit's in the imagination of the hunters. Caesar suggesting Puzzle Trap app to hand out rare items aside from Super Brie. I don't know if we would do that. We are in the process of overhauling Puzzle Trap a little bit. We're kind of redoing in dev talk the back end of the game to be able to allow social features and things like that to work a little bit better. So we haven't been able to work on any new content for that a little bit just because we're overhauling some of the underlying guts of the game. When is Ronza coming? Don't know. Don't have anything to share there. Pet mice suggestion from Kate. Oh yeah, Julian, and buying ionized salt while you're in the tower. Actually, I did a bit of a tower goof during the spring egg hunt. I went in and I didn't have enough extra charms, and so I was just stuck in the tower. I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to get single egg drops while I'm in here because I didn't buy my extras before I went in. Storytelling before an area release. And we did that a little bit. The birthday event kind of tied in, sort of a lot of hints at something coming. You were able to get some items for the area before it came out. Fun seeing the teasers. Well, I'll keep that in mind. Maybe we can incorporate more teasers before something comes out. KDM's asking, do Minotaur eggs contain trap loot? I believe they have a very slim chance of doing so. I like that pre-release hype. We'll see what we can do to keep that up. Game-wide event before the iceberg opened so low-level players could participate. I don't think I even remember that. That might have been when I was not really involved with MouseHunt too much. I was building the mobile app, I think, when the iceberg came out. I think for the iceberg, I think Varmint Valley originally. I forget when that was. I'd have to check the MouseHunt timeline. The minnow eggs, the Minotaur eggs do, well, do they actually? Let's double check. Before I just start spreading webs of lies, I will actually look it up. That's what I'll do. And then we should wrap things up shortly here as well. But let me look up the Minotaur egg to answer that question. It looks weird. I don't like it. There's something about a furry egg. Just, it's like I don't want to know what's in it. Don't please, no one open it, please. Nope, no trap loot. Sorry, I misspoke. I'm just spreading lies and misinformation. Every time you open the egg, you get 6 items. Yes, yeah, 6 items. And you get some sort of ultimate charm, whether that be an ultimate lucky power, ultimate attraction, spore, luck power. You get one of the district leader loots, so you get a sacred script, infused plate, or a power core hammer. Then you get 10 pieces of the sort of low-level Zolcore district loot, the Plates of Fealty, Tech, Power Core, Scholar Scroll. You get 15 unstable charms every time, and you get the Spring Hunt Endless Labyrinth Trap skin. So that's how you get that skin. We'll just start renaming you Franco, yeah. Disclaimer, if Franco said it may not be true. It's 50-50. He could be misleading. We want Webs of Lies. New collectible, developer Webs of Lies. If you hear something wrong, blame the webs in your inventory. No, that sounds horrible. I am very, very sad. You've been lied to for a week, says KDM. Well, here you go. Mystery solved via Feedback Friday. That's it. I think the Warmonger Egg. I think you can get sandblasted metal. Let's check that one out. I need like looking up music. So do 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 do. Collectibles now. Convertibles, because we didn't know what to name those, so they got called convertibles. The Monger Egg. Looks cool, unlike the Minotaur Egg that I find a little gross looking. The Warmonger Egg looks cool to me. Yep, look at that. You can get an Oasis Bead, Sphinx Crystal, Sandblasted Metal. Otherwise, you get an Ultimate Luck or 10 Ultimate Luck or 10 Ultimate Power Charms. So you only get one thing from the egg. And there is an under 1% chance of getting something really awesome. So after you capture over 100 Warmongers, you might start to think, well, maybe one of these eggs is going to have something. Nugget Egg next year. Ooh, that's a rare one as well. Not as rare as the Shelder, but that's a rare one. I don't know. It was a little bit polarizing with the Shelder Egg. I don't know if we would repeat it necessarily. That's why we're asking at the beginning of the stream what players thought of the Shelder Egg now that it's out. The leader loot is great, says Michael. I agree. It is awesome getting the leader loot in that Minotaur Egg. Do you have any plans on changing the charm system? No, we do not. At least nothing in the immediate future. If charms could be seen on the trap, we played around with that a little bit. I remember Jacob kind of concepting out the conduit, like snapping onto your base. But it's just tough to make it work with all the different iterations of base and weapons. So I guess we'll leave that to the imagination of where the charms are going. Sometimes with the Mouse Deathbot, I like to picture you like loading up the chain gun with the charms or something. I don't know. Can you give me something for lying to me? Cries. I'll give you empathy. What is the nugget poking? Yeah, some sort of subterranean beetle, as somebody else pointed in the chat. If memory serves me correctly, I would even say it might be a scarab, but I don't know. It looks more like a beetle, actually. I think scarabs have like some big, creepy-looking thing, like creepy-looking claws. This is my impression of a scarab. Don't freeze frame that. Nobody go back and freeze frame that. Nobody needs to see that ever again. Yeah, maybe the trap becoming more intense the more powerful charms you had, some sort of glow or something. But might put that up with animating all the traps in terms of things that the artists would probably dread and would slow down the production of traps quite a bit. Look at the tongue-in-cheek comment of please more leprechaun mice. I only have 3. I want to browse them. I don't think people will appreciate that comment at all. Missed a leprechaun mouse last month. I don't even know if I've seen one. Let's see. Let's check it out. MouseHuntGame.com. And I can sound my horn. Look at that. Slacking on my hunting duties. One more hunt in this short, plain tech hallway, and then I'm done. Event Vice. Look at that silhouette leprechaun. Misses 7. Feels bad. Feels bad. 0 for 7 on the leprechaun. Only took me 9 years. Almost 1 a year, though. That's got to be pretty good. That's a nice average. All right, well, on that note, on my unluckiness with the leprechaun mouse, we'll cap off Feedback Friday here. Thanks for joining me, hunters. I'll post a summary of Feedback Friday on the forums in the tavern section, which reminds me I probably should have unstickied the last summary in the tavern section. But there will be a new one coming in the not too distant future here. Once I can upload, I'll upload a couple of the images here. I'll upload this one. Uh-oh, I hit a wrong button. What's going on? Oh no, I don't know what's going on now. Oh, this image. We'll upload that image. And this little teaser as well for the Bristle Woods Rift. So we'll check those out in slightly higher res. So thanks for joining me. Happy hunting as well to everyone in the chat. Goodbye. And I'll see you next week. Probably Jacob next week, I think, with an art stream. Seeing as it's been a while. Today he is working on the HUD, so he's really bogged down. It's not too interesting either watching him paint the HUD. He has to collaborate too, so he wanted to be in the office and didn't want to monopolize the internet connection bandwidth for a full many hours that it would take to paint the HUD. So he asked me to do a Feedback Friday today, and I just saw a typo in this last slide, so I'm going to fix that before ending off as well. How about we do that? It says, thanks for watching. Need to finish my coffee before I start typing stuff. All right, well, thanks for joining me. Bye, everybody.
Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you, catch you, catch you. All I do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I do is convince you with my cheese.